Hello, and welcome to Displaying-Model-Behaviour, the Earth's maddest video podcast. And in this case, most gamma irradiated as well. This video is the top 100 most demanded Incredible Hulk-themed action figures that we want Marvel Legends to make to add to our collection. There's a whole bunch of names to run through. Do you want to hear them? Here it goes. Why not kick off with one that we will probably be getting very, very soon? It is Hulk 2099. This one has been rumored and teased for a long time. We know we're getting some new big deluxe Hulk characters throughout the year 2026. Hulk 2099 is an obvious fit and a very likely choice. And with the much more savage, terrifying design, with all the wild hair, gnarly lashing tongue, and the claws, this thing would be an amazing addition to a Hulk display. The Absorbing Man, Crusher Creel. I thought we were going to get him announced at the last reveal, but that turned out to be instead the Grizzly. Big surprise on that one. But that means we're still due Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man, and I think we might see him in an upcoming Secret Wars wave. Until we get him in one form or another, we've got the Build-A-Figure, but man, that's sorely in need of updating. Let's go a little outside the box here. How about the Ang Lee Hulk, the Jelly Bean Hulk? He looks a little silly by today's standards, but hey, Marvel are doing the whole multiverse thing. Everything that's ever happened, it's all part of one collected big screen universe. That means that the Ang Lee Hulk definitely deserves his spot on the shelf. Avengers BC. Less a single figure, more an entire team. How awesome would like a 5-pack or something be of the main characters? I loved the redesigns that thought, what would the Avengers be like if we kept the character styles, but did it in the Stone Age? Well, they'd look like this, and honestly, the result is pretty wicked. Bi-Beast. What a ridiculous but fun character. What's his gimmick? He has a head on top of a head. That's almost literally like having a hat on top of a hat. What does that do for you? I don't know, but also, I kind of love him because he's so dumb, and you know Marvel Legends would do a great-looking head sculpt of that. I actually really want to see it. All right, let me pitch a real obvious 2-pack. Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno Hulk. Oh, how good would that be? Again, with the whole big screen and small screen multiverse, we can have all of these characters together. And getting Bill Bixby, that would be wonderful. There are so many civilian bodies that would work for that. You just got to do the new head sculpt. And then getting an actual Lou Ferrigno Hulk. The 80s child in me would absolutely adore that. This is an unusual one, but I want to pitch it to you. How about a black and white Hulk? Hulk had many appearances in Marvel sort of offshoot fantasy comics and side stories that were black and white and very stylized. And we've seen other companies do black and white comic style characters. NECA have done that recently with their Ninja Turtles. And seeing a two-shaded black and white style Incredible Hulk, something about that, I think, would actually be really cool. The Bohr Brothers. Wouldn't need to be a 2-pack. Maybe just make one figure, and then you can buy 2 if you want, because they're just 2 big green Bohr Brothers. What more do you really need to know? All right, I've got a confession to make. I didn't read Planet Hulk, and in my notes, I think spell check destroyed the name of this character. And I'm filming now, so I can't go and check it. But Tiara, I don't know. The Hulk's wife from World War Hulk. Her. I mean, she was married to him, regardless of her name. She definitely deserves an action figure. Another one that I feel is pretty darn likely is Capcom Hulk. Maximum Hulk? That doesn't do it. We need a proper animated Gamerverse style Capcom Hulk. I feel it. I can feel it in my bones. We're not far from getting it. So come on, Hasbro. Give us what we want. Let's round out that Gamerverse display. Captain Cyborg. You know, I originally got all the characters for this list from doing a channel members live stream where people could recommend obscure Hulk characters to me. So a few of these I'm completely clueless about. This guy's one of them. The Circle of 4 Magic Ghost Rider Venom Hulk. This is so bonkers, I instantly fell in love with it. Absolutely phenomenal. A giant Ghost Rider Hulk on a tricycle. Yeah, Hasbro, you could literally take my money. I'll just leave it on the window still. Help yourself. Circus Hulk, because one time the Hulk hid out in the circus. Hey, it was the 60s, 70s, you could get away with wackier concepts such as Hulk joining the circus. And honestly, in today's super serious world, a story like that, I've got a lot of time for it. A name that feels very different in 2026, Crypto Man. I imagine he has the superpower to give you terrible financial advice. It's like, haha, Hulk, I cannot best you in combat, but now you are financially bankrupt. Congratulations. Guess those NFTs didn't work out for you. Oh, Hulk should have invested in futures. Cyborg Hulk, aka Mecha Hulk, aka a figure that I'd love to see. We got a really old Cyber Hulk back in the day, which still looks great. A big Monkey Man style robot Hulk figure. So cool. And there's a lot of rumors that the Select Immortal Hulk was planned to be a Cyborg Hulk repaint that they never got around to, because you can see like some lines on his skin that you think like, that looks more like sort of metal lines than muscles, but okay. Bottom line, though, is we need a new one. So come on, Hasbro. Let's see it. Dark Crawler. Now, look, say what you will about Marvel Legends, and Lord knows I do. They do give us some very obscure characters. And this one, yeah, this looks pretty obscure. What can I tell you about him? He looks like that. Another one from Ang Lee's Hulk. How about David Banner? Crazy Nick Nolte. I'm not a fan of the Ang Lee film. I know that artistically it has a lot going for it. Like it's a clever movie, but does it actually succeed in what it was trying to do? You know, entertain audiences? That's debatable. But Nick Nolte literally, and I do mean literally, chewing the scenery was a delight to behold. And a David Banner figure, I think a lot of people would like that. Deathlock Abomination. Hey, look, it wasn't easy to come up with 100 characters, okay? We had to get a little obscure. So there was a story where characters went to an alternate dimension, and guess what? There was a Deathlock Abomination there. So he's canon, so he's on the list. Devastator. Not the Transformers Devastator. A different flavor, but kind of a fun, weird, funky looking one. Again, you can tell when I've got the characters who are clearly what I would call list fillers. Digger. This is one who I actually do know because he's less of a Hulk character. He's actually more of a Spider-Man character. One time, a whole bunch of mobsters were murdered and dumped in the desert. And guess what? There was a whole bunch of gamma irradiation there, and the various body parts all fused together to create Digger, who is a big-time heavy hitter. But honestly, more Spider-Man related. Doc Samson, the incredible psychiatrist. I think this is another one we might be seeing this year because it has been a long time since we got a Doc Samson. I'm talking way back in the dark ages of Marvel Legends. So an update is well overdue. Earth X Hulk. This would be a really fun one because the Earth X Hulk is kind of two characters in one. You've got the Hulk, which is kind of this wonderful big gorilla type design, and then there's the Bruce Banner side of the personality that's this young child who kind of rides around on him and controls him. As a little 2-pack or a 1.5 pack, I think that would be delightful. The Ed Norton Hulk. Yes, we're covering the entire realm of Marvel-related movies, and the Ed Norton Hulk, he definitely deserves his modern due. I mean, come on, we're so tired of the soft-spoken, nice Hulk having Ed Norton be like just the terrifying, ripped, veiny, smashing machine. Oh, that was good. And a very underrated movie. Definitely deserves an action figure. Flux, another gamma-irradiated abomination. A military man who gets used to try and take down the Hulk. That's all I can tell you. Although I did speak kind of ill and dismissively of Flux on a live stream a while ago, and people were like, yo, you put some respect on Flux's name. So, okay, he gets an action figure. Gargoyle. This one could maybe be paired up with the Mecha Hulk, as was the original one. I think they came in a little 2-pack, and there was a little compartment you could put him in Mecha Hulk's back. So, yeah, why not do that again? Because this is one of those figures, if you did him on his own, he would have to come with a very chunky builder figure to justify the purchase. Gladiator Hulk. It really surprises me that we haven't had a comic book Gladiator Hulk from Marvel Legends. Select did an amazing one many years ago, but for the mainstream Legends line? Nah, come on, this is well overdue. glob. I guess this guy is like, hey, Mum, can we get Swamp Thing? No, son, we have Swamp Thing at home. Womp. Hey, look, maybe I'm being mean. He might have a rich history of stories behind him, but I've never read them. Harpy, look at this design. Poor old Betty Ross. She's been through it. You've looked better. No offense. But there she is, Queen of the Harpies. Here's your crown, your majesty. That would be so much fun. A lot of work to make an action figure out of this, but I think it would be worth it. Homer Hulk. Okay, I'm being a little silly here, but hey, it's a Hulk. Is it canon? No, but it's in the Disney family, so I could probably figure something out. Horseman Hulk. This is one I genuinely really would love to see, because this is my mid-90s peak Marvel obsession era. So this was when Apocalypse made Hulk the Horseman of War, I assume it was, and he gave him all his armor and the whip, and just, he looks kind of silly, but in a fun 90s sort of way, where it's like, hey, let's take this big character and put even more big armor on him, like you would literally do with 80s and 90s action figures, like, you know, Incredible Hulk with new Apocalypse armor. I kind of love that. I'd love to see it. Gremlin, not Gargoyle, which I was told, and is one the son of the other? That gets a little bit confusing to me, and I won't pretend to know. So any Hulk fans out there in the comments, please help me out. What's the deal? How do we distinguish Gremlin from Gargoyle? Guilt Hulk, the first of many extra Hulk manifestations. So Bruce Banner's psyche, it turns out, is like a shattered plate. There's a whole lot of pieces. And Guilt Hulk is exactly what you think. Represents all the guilt inside Bruce Banner instead of the rage that the Hulk represents. And Guilt Hulk, yeah, a terrifying giant lizard-looking creature. It could be kind of fun. Confidence is a preference to the habitual voyeur of what is known as Half-Life. It's a very British quote there. But a Half-Life. Actually, you know what? This was the one who people said I should put respect on his name. Flux, no respect. But Half-Life, Flux gets no respect around here. No respect at all. But people said that Half-Life is actually a pretty cool character. So if you said it, that's good enough for me. Do you like dogs? Yeah, I like dogs. Sorry, I'm just doing all the British quotes now. But Hulk Dog, again, another Ang Lee character, and one that we actually had, well, I say character, you know, an Ang Lee thing. And we did actually get an old action figure of a Hulk Dog. It wasn't really very poseable, but it exists. So giving us a new one, maybe kind of use the Lockjaw body as a basis, that could kind of work. The Hulk Gang, terrorizing the wastelands of the Old Man Logan timeline. And yeah, just a couple of hillbilly Hulks. What we could get with them, though, is a couple of little Fantastic Cars. And then you can repurpose those for future Fantastic Four releases. So, hey, that's a win right there. Hulk Killer. You know, with a character whose name is Hulk Killer, I would have expected something a little more terrifying and mean looking. This thing looks kind of cute, but I don't know, maybe it's a lot meaner than it looks, but it would be a big, bright, colorful character that would really stand out on the shelf, so that at least gives him a few points. Hulkling, which is an interesting one, because I mean, not really a Hulk character, but he was the Hulk equivalent in the Young Avengers when first introduced, but of course his heritage is more Kree and space-oriented, but that opens up the whole other realm of getting more Young Avengers characters. Certainly if you're going to do Hulkling, you'd want to do Wiccan as well, and that would actually be kind of cute. So yeah, he's not the closest Hulk connection, but I still wouldn't mind seeing him as an action figure. Maximus the Mad, something from way back in the Golden Age. Wouldn't pretend to know a huge amount about him, but this isn't a comprehensive list of information. It's just a comprehensive list. And hopefully it's something you enjoy listening to while you're folding the laundry, doing your taxes, or cleaning up the apartment. Don't worry, I know model behavior is background viewing. Honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Don't focus too hard on this. I wouldn't. Indestructible Hulk. This is an interesting one. This is from the Marvel Now era. They had kind of a relaunch or a bit of a rebranding with their Marvel Now, and we got Hulk in this interesting looking suit. Honestly, not a fan of it, but it was a look that he had for a while. But Hulk wearing any kind of costume just feels kind of wrong, you know? If it's not purple pants, that's not my Hulk. You know, they say the meek shall inherit the earth, but the inheritor over here He doesn't look too meek to me, but he does look like a big, fun, wacky Golden Age monster. So with that in mind, I'd kind of like seeing him immortalized in plastic. Jarella. Now this is one that I made a big mistake of slightly dismissing, and people came at me. And you know what? You were right to do so. A very important love interest for the Hulk, who shaped a lot of his personality going forwards. So with that in mind, she deserves the action figure treatment. Klur, or Hulk, backwards, if you will, which is kind of a reverse Hulk and a pretty terrifying looking version of the Jade Giant. Not so Jade in this case, but big, mean, red eyes, mohawk, kind of cracked, lava looking skin. Yeah, pretty wicked actually. I kind of like to see that. We've had a few She-Hulks over the last couple of years, but how about lawyer Jennifer Walters? I mean, she spends most of her time fighting bad guys in the courtroom as opposed to the battlefield. So why not have her represented like that? Give her the pin, what's it called? Pencil skirt. I was going to say pen skirt. That's not a thing. But yeah, give her the pencil skirt and the power suit. That would actually be kind of fun. The leader, probably the main big bad of the Incredible Hulk universe. If you don't count General Ross. If you're talking supervillains, it's Abomination and the leader. And we do have a pretty decent leader in our Marvel Legends collection, but he's a bit basic. I want a leader with a more gnarly kind of look, maybe the big broccoli head version. Some more gadgets would be nice, a slightly more detailed costume. They could go all in with doing a pretty impressive looking leader, and honestly, I'd like to see it. Lyra. Now let me try this here, okay? Lyra is Hulk's daughter from an alternate dimension? Am I close? Or am I way off? I might be way off. I will try and do a little bit of due diligence while I'm editing this and throw in some little Cliff's notes maybe, just to clarify a few things, just to show that at least I did do some work, I promise. I wasn't just looking at pictures. But yeah, Lyra. She was well known enough that even I recognized her. So that would be a good addition. Maestro. Hasbro, you gave us a Maestro a few years ago, but did you? Did you really? You gave us a Maestro head, but come on, we want the future imperfect Maestro. We want the proper Maestro in his full costume and gear, not some ripped up pants like, yes, he looked like that for a couple of issues in Old Man Logan. That's pretty cheap, lads. Give us the crown, give us all of his ornaments and treasures and trinkets. That would be a fantastic, phenomenal figure. Would it have to be a deluxe? Yeah, probably would be. Would I mind it being a deluxe? Not at all, because that would be an absolute centerpiece. Might seem like a funny choice, because you would have thought, we have this, but MCU Hulk, like Mark Ruffalo Hulk, we haven't actually had a Savage version of the Mark Ruffalo Hulk for ages and ages and ages and ages. So it's way overdue. I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be getting a Savage Hulk in Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's not 100% confirmed, but it seems very likely. So maybe that will lead to us getting a real great-looking Savage Hulk. But if they could just do Avengers, the first Avengers movie, Hulk from the Battle of New York, I think a lot of people would love to see that. Okay, this is just a little bit of nightmare fuel from the most wonderful, nightmarish run of the Hulk comics. It was Immortal Hulk, and this is just an example of some of the hideous things that appear in those pages. Monstrosity Hulk is what I call this, and it's just one of the terrible predicaments that the Hulk finds himself in at some point in time. And I just think, yeah, you know what? Just have something that looks absolutely hard to look at. Why not? Can have some fun with that. Null from Fear Itself. Have I read the Fear Itself story? No. But do I kind of have the gist of it from the comics? Kind of, yes. So a whole bunch of characters get imbued with power from the god of fear, as if the characters weren't scary enough already. Now it's Hulk with a huge big giant battle hammer and a whole bunch of Tron-style neon effects on him. It's so of its time, isn't it? Those 2010s neon lines, and okay, it kind of dates the look of the character, but honestly, I kind of like it too. It's kitsch and harkens back to a halcyon time of the 2010s. Old Man Logan Hulk. You know, I was never a big Old Man Logan fan. I can understand, like, yeah, it is kind of a good story in places. Like, I'm not saying it's badly written, but it just felt very sort of edgelordy, a bit kind of shock value just for the sake of shock value, you know? But it did give us another version of the Hulk, and a pretty shocking one at that. Would you want to have this guy on your shelf? I don't know about that, but hey, it makes for another addition to the list. Well, we've had Homer Simpson Hulk, so how about Peter Griffin Hulk? This one might be a little bit trickier to do with different licensing issues, but then again, the Simpsons have met Family Guy before, so there's no reason to make it impossible. The Metal Master. This dude is a master of metal. Yeah, that's all I got. The Red King, the big bad from the Planet Hulk story arc, and a pretty weird, wonderful, and wild design as well with the armor mech type costume. A big colorful alien dude like this would really bring a whole display to life, so yeah, I'd like to see that happen. Red She-Hulk. Okay, I know that we're getting Red She-Hulk, but I feel like that's not quite scratching that Red She-Hulk itch. It looks okay, but more of an Ed McGuinness style Red She-Hulk with a big old gun and the sigh and more of that gleaming, smiling, femme fatale sort of face. You could put her in a 2-pack with Domino where she rips her clothes off just to embarrass her. Yep, that's a thing that happened. Look, sometimes you gotta go all in with silliness, and this would definitely be that. Reginald 14 from Immortal Hulk. You know what? We kind of do sort of have this guy. Not exactly, though, now that I'm thinking about it. We're getting Abomination with the body horror face. But actually, I don't think that was him. There was someone else. Was it Rick Jones who was in that Abomination form? Eventually, it went to this other guy, 14. And he sort of embraced the hideous body horror nightmare fuel power of the Abomination. So maybe all we really need is just a head swap. Or they could give us his armored robot mech body. That would be kind of fun too. For someone who was a big character in one of the best modern runs of the Hulk, I think he deserves the representation. And speaking of Rick Jones, and actually we could do a couple of different versions of Rick Jones. Of course, there is civilian Rick Jones, who I think a lot of people would like to see, but then also we got the A-bomb. Rick Jones finally got powered up, and he had this cool kind of blue armadillo armored looking form, and it was kind of fun. Didn't stick around for long, but it definitely made an impression. Romulus Augustus, just a Roman Caesar looking dude, I guess. Yeah, I don't know much about Romulus Augustus, but go on, you can add him too. General Ross, this is one that's definitely overdue. I mean, look, we got a Gyrek figure. We could certainly justify General Ross. Plus, it's just cool to have some more military type characters. So this is one that I wouldn't be shocked to see coming somewhere down the line, but also I appreciate there might not be a huge demand outside of hardcore Incredible Hulk fans. Sasquatch, Walter Lankowski. Yes, we do have a Sasquatch figure that can go with the Alpha Flight characters, but, you know, it's a little bit old now. A little update and a new version of the big orange woolly guy. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Another entry for She-Hulk, and a big one that I would love to see, purple and white costume She-Hulk. We got close with the purple swimsuit style She-Hulk from last year. Or was it the year before? It was a little while ago. But I just want the slightly more modern 90s looking one with the white details that just make it look a bit more contemporary, a bit more interesting. And if you could give her, like, that could come with the big smile and maybe the big dumbbell she could be bending in half. There's a lot of fun you could have with that. And it wouldn't surprise me if we do see it sooner than later. The Silver Savage, another character that we did get many, many years ago. I was going to say many moons ago, which would kind of make sense since this is a cosmic version of the Silver Surfer. Wait, cosmic version of the Silver Surfer is just the Silver Surfer, but it was during the Planet Hulk arc is what I'm trying to get at. So just take the current Silver Surfer, slap some armor on him, boom! Savage Surfer. Oh, I hate this, but I also want to include it. The Skinny Hulk. Again, trust Immortal Hulk to give us unsettling images. There was a time when Hulk was losing his power and losing his gamma irradiation, and it showed with skin hanging off of his bones Hulk. It was horrible, but it happened. So it's going on the list. sHulk, or Solomon Grundy Hulk. Of course, this opens up the door for a whole bunch of amalgam characters. This wouldn't be the first amalgam character I would ask for, but man, eventually you could get to him. Combining the clothes of Solomon Grundy with the stature of the Hulk, well, actually, that's pretty much just Solomon Grundy. Anyway, this is a fun little one I wanted to throw in to be like, actually, no, I didn't think of that. Someone else did. But still, we'll add him anyway. Smart Hulk. I won't linger on this because it's pretty much been confirmed with the most recent tease. And honestly, I can't wait to see him. Just be sure to include the bunny slippers. Soul Stealer. This, as a design, absolutely love it. Can I find the comic it appeared in? Nope. Really obscure. I'm sure it probably only ever appeared one time. I can barely find any information on him on the internet. But the design of this giant eyeball with the skull, mouth, and lower half of the face, it's wicked. So cool. So yeah, judging by that one cover picture alone, love to see that. Spider-Hulk. It's irradiated Spider-Man, and a lot of people were asking for that. Of course, there's a very kind of iconic Spider-Hulk figure from about 25 years ago, and people are still clamoring for a new version. For me personally, not so much, but I know that the masses are demanding it, so maybe you should give them what they want. Now, this would be a fun one. Starship Hulk. After Immortal Hulk finished, it was going to be a difficult act to follow for the new series, and they went in a completely different direction with Starship Hulk, which was so much fun. We had Bruce Banner inside the Hulk's mind in that mental headspace, literally piloting the Hulk like a starship and keeping the most savage version of him in the engine room to power him. It was great. I loved it. And we had this cool visor, helmet, Starship Hulk look to the character. I really dug it. It was so cool. I'd love to see an action figure of that. Super Beast. I can only find a picture of him battling Thor, but people have told me that Super Beast battled the Hulk, so okay, it's good enough for me. Titan, another one of Hulk's personas. And there's a couple of personas that are just like, ho, you think the Hulk's bad? Well, this is the Hulked version of the Hulk. Like, there's a couple of Hulked versions of the Hulk. Titan is the most big and terrifying one. Until the next one. That's kind of how it goes. But I think currently the precedent is set. I think Titan, that is as big and bad as it gets. And honestly, I mean, it does look pretty big and bad, so I'm not going to diss him. The Toadmen. What we're going to do right here is go back, way back into time. The original baddies that the Hulk fought, the terror of the Toadmen. How fun would it be to army build these goofy, wacky-looking guys? It's highly unlikely we'll ever see them, but it would be awfully fun if we did. Transforming Hulk. Well, this could be an interesting either single figure or a multi-pack. Is a mid-transformation Bruce Banner. We got a Bruce Banner Hulk 2-pack, but that's just Bruce Banner, human, and Hulk. But something in the middle with the clothes ripping, the skin turning, the eyes glowing green, that would actually be really fun to see. Maybe like one big green Hulk arm sort of moving throughout the body. Who knows? You could go nuts with it. It could be a really fun figure if they chose to make it. Here's a whole team for you. The UFOs. How about that? They're not the most A-list characters, but they have longevity in the Marvel Universe. They've been around for ages, and they all have bright, popping-looking designs. Maybe like a Comic-Con 5-pack. That could be a fun way of putting them out there. Venomized Hulk. This is a cool one. I've seen so many costumes of Venomized Hulk over the years, and they all look wicked. And I love that in many interpretations, they have the Venom symbiote isn't entirely over him because it's not big enough to stretch over the Hulk. That's kind of funny, but just the big green body with the gnashing Venom mouth. Yeah, I think that looks awesome. That would be a really fun legend. The Warbound. Again, a team that I'm surprised we haven't seen any more members of. But then again, each one would probably require a completely unique sculpt. But Hulk's backup from his Planet Hulk days, yeah, I think that would be really cool to see. Weapon H, once again, a figure that I thought we would have had by now, because you've got the Hulk body, throw on some Wolverine claws and a couple of knobbly bits. That's about it. You got Weapon H. Something that I thought, like when I first saw it, I just thought like, oh man, that looks dumb. It's like, oh, well, let's have Hulk, but with Wolverine claws. And then he actually kind of stood the test of time and became a pretty fun character. So kudos, Marvel writers. We showed this guy. Wendigo, similar to Sasquatch. We have a Wendigo figure, but it's a very modern-looking X-Men Wendigo. Whereas a classic Wendigo that really represents Incredible Hulk 181 with Wolverine's first appearance, that would be really nice to see. So hopefully, I think we will get it. It feels kind of inevitable because it's been a while since we had the Build-A-Figure. So even though a new body would be nice, even if they just kind of reused the old one but put a more classic head on there, that would be pretty cool. World Breaker Hulk. Okay, so when Planet Hulk ended, the Hulk had an axe to grind with pretty much the entire superhero roster on Earth, and he did grind that axe pretty effectively. And he did it looking like a mean badass in his kind of gladiatorial gear, not the stuff he wore on World War Hulk, but a different look. And it was a pretty mean badass look. He could pull off a tiara and make it look scary. So yeah, World Breaker Hulk, he lived up to the name. That'd be a cool figure. Zeron the Star Slayer. Looks kind of like a chicken. That's all I got for you. Zombie Hulk. It's funny, I'm really not into the Marvel Zombies characters, but a lot of people keep asking, when are we going to get more Marvel Legends, Marvel Zombies? So clearly the demand is there, so I ain't going to yuck your yum. And if you're going to do some zombified characters, why not go all in? Terrifying, decomposing zombie Hulk? I mean, it'd definitely be interesting to see. And finishing off what I didn't realize till halfway through was an alphabetical list, we have Zax, which would be a bit of a difficult character to bring to life because obviously he's all electrical and sparkly barkly, but I don't know, he's Niles Sparkly. That's that, pop me. But yeah, a Niles Sparkly action figure. Don't know how you would do it most effectively, but hey, Marvel Legends, that's what you do for a living. I'm sure you could figure it out. And folks, that does it for my top 100 most wanted Marvel Legends Hulk characters. Gang, what did you think about the list? And also, who did I miss out? And also, which characters did I not give their due by going, I don't know who this guy is? Be like, Dave, that's one of the most important people in the Marvel universe. I know, you have to excuse me. My ignorance is showing. But gang, thank you so much for watching. And until next... Oh! And what other top 100 lists would you like to see? Comment below, let me know. I love doing these top 100s. They're a fun bit of content for me to make. So yeah, let me know in the comments. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Coffee. Big time.